You've heard this story 100 times. Amazon killed the shopping mall. The anchor stores went dark, the corridors emptied, and the great American mall was left to rot under buzzing fluorescent lights. In 1,000 places, that story is completely true. But drive to the right mall instead, the one where the two big highways cross with a 2-year waiting list just to rent a storefront. And you'll find the exact opposite. Packed. 97% full, quietly printing money. So, which is it? Did the mall die or did it just split in two? Here's what the headlines miss. The mall was never one thing. The industry grades every property like a report card. Class A malls sit at the top. The best locations, the highest sales, the brands everyone wants. What lands a mall in that top tier is brutally simple. The wealth of the people who can reach it and how much they spend when they get there. Below them sit Class B, solid, aging, hanging on. And at the bottom, Class C and D, the ones you picture when someone says dead mall. Fountains dry, corridors empty, one lonely security guard, and an echo. For a decade, those bottom tiers really have been dying. Hundreds of them gone or rotting. At its peak, America built more than 1,000 enclosed malls, and analysts now expect a huge share of them to disappear for good. But that collapse hid something. While the bottom fell out, the top pulled away. Occupancy at the best malls climbing to 96, 97, even 99%, with luxury brands lined up outside begging to get in. The very best ring up over $1,000 in sales for every square foot of floor. Several times what an ordinary mall can manage. These aren't two ends of one business anymore. They're two separate industries that happen to share a name. To see how the winners really work, you have to stop picturing a shopping center and start picturing a machine. Because a great mall doesn't make its real money the way you'd guess. Walk in the front doors, past the giant department store, the anchor. That anchor pays almost nothing in rent. Sometimes it pays zero. The mall practically gives away the space. Why? Because the anchor isn't a customer, it's bait. Its only job is to pull a river of people in through the doors. And once that river is flowing, the mall goes to work on everyone standing in it. This was the original blueprint. Malls were built around those giant anchors precisely to catch the crowds they pulled in. The little shops were always the real point. The real money lives in the smaller stores lining the corridors. And in a lease most shoppers have never heard of. It's called triple net. In a normal rental, the landlord covers the taxes, the insurance, and the upkeep. In a triple net lease, the tenant pays all three on top of rent. Property taxes jump? Tenant's problem. Roof springs a leak? Tenant. The mall collects rent that is almost pure profit and hands nearly every cost of owning the building to the people renting inside it. And there's a third layer most people never even see: common area maintenance. The shared hallways, the parking lot, the security guards, the holiday decorations. The tenants fund all of it, divided between them by the square foot. But triple net is only the floor. The ceiling is where it gets beautiful, for the landlord. Premium leases add something called percentage rent. The store pays its base rent, and then, above a certain sales threshold, it hands the mall a slice of every single dollar it rings up. Sell more, pay more. The mall isn't just a landlord anymore, it's a silent partner in your business, taking a quiet cut of every transaction that happens inside its walls. A private toll on a river of spending it created just by parking that anchor at the door. Picture a flagship doing $10 million a year. Just a few points of that skimmed automatically, and the mall earns more from that one store's success than base rent could ever pay it. Now, the location makes sense. The tenant a premium mall really wants isn't a struggling boutique. It's a luxury house, a tech flagship, a brand doing eye-watering sales per square foot. Because the more they sell, the more the mall skims off the top. The store gets a fire hose of wealthy foot traffic it could never gather alone. The mall gets a cut of the fire hose. Both win, and the mall barely lifts a finger. It just owns the room where all of it happens. You walk in for a pretzel and a new pair of shoes, and you never once feel the machine running under your feet. And it charges for that room like almost nothing else on earth. Stack percentage rent on a near-costless triple net base, and a single premium mall can throw off cash the way an oil well throws off crude, from a few 100,000 square feet of floor near a highway. The very best of these properties are worth billions on their own. A single building throwing off the cash of a mid-sized company, from tenants who line up to thank it for the privilege. Which raises the obvious question: if it's such a money machine, why doesn't someone just build another one across the street and undercut it? Here's the whole secret: they can't. You can build a bigger box, you cannot build a better location. The best mall in a city usually sits on the one interchange where the highways cross, in the path of the wealthiest neighborhoods, on land that was zoned and bought decades ago and will never come up for sale again. That spot is a monopoly you can hold with a deed. A rival can pour $1 billion into a gleaming new center 10 miles away and still lose. Because the brands, the shoppers, and the gravity are already somewhere else. And it gets worse for the challenger. Because the best malls court the wealthy, they barely flinch when the economy wobbles. Luxury spending is the last thing people cut, so the rent keeps flowing even when weaker malls are begging their tenants to stay. And even if a challenger did show up, the tenants are bolted down. A flagship isn't a pop-up. The brand signed a 10-year lease, spent millions on marble floors and lighting rigs, trained its staff, and taught an entire city that this is where you go to find it. Tearing all that out to chase cheaper rent across town would cost far more than simply staying. That's a switching cost, and the mall quietly charges against it every month. A location no one can copy, tenants who can't easily leave. That isn't a shopping center. That's a fortress with a food court. It's why the biggest landlords on earth quietly hoard these trophies and almost never sell. A great mall is less a store than a private toll bridge that happens to sell handbags. So the winners never sit still. They pour the profits back in and change what a mall even is. The dead department store becomes a gym, a clinic, a food hall, an apartment tower. Valet, chef-driven restaurants, offices, a theater with reclining seats. Reasons to show up that a website can never ship to your door. Some have added aquariums, ski slopes, indoor theme parks, spectacles no online cart could ever replicate. They add events, pop-ups, holiday spectacles, a reason to drive past 3 closer malls to reach this one. The mall stops being a place you buy things and becomes a place you spend your whole day, which quietly makes the percentage rent machine spin even faster. Psychologists even have a name for this: the third place. Somewhere that isn't home and isn't work. Turn a mall into one and people don't just visit. They linger. And lingering, it turns out, is money. Meanwhile, the other end of the barbell keeps rotting. The Class C mall can't attract those tenants, can't fund that reinvention, and can't move its unlucky location a single inch. Every year, the gap between the top and the bottom widens. The strong malls compounding, the weak ones dimming toward that lone security guard in the echo. The retail apocalypse was real. It just wasn't evenly distributed. That's the lesson hiding under the headline. Retail is dying was never the right question. The right question was always, which retail, on whose land, protected by what? A trophy mall isn't valuable because malls are somehow back in fashion. It's valuable because it owns an irreplaceable piece of ground, wraps its tenants in leases that pay it whether they thrive or merely survive, and takes a small, silent cut of an enormous flow of money it never has to compete for. The genius was never the shops. It's the structure underneath them. The ownership, the leases, the location, quietly doing the work. The building itself is almost beside the point. What you're really buying is the toll on the crossroads, and that's the pattern worth carrying with you. The most durable businesses on earth are rarely the ones with the flashiest product. They're the ones that own the crossroads. A location, a network, a standard, and quietly take a cut of everything that flows across it, while everyone who'd love to compete slowly discovers they cannot build the same corner twice. The headline screams that an entire industry is dead. Look closer, and one business inside it is compounding cash behind a wall nobody can climb. That gap between the story everyone repeats and the structure underneath it is exactly where the real winners hide. You start to see them everywhere once you know the shape. The quiet toll takers hiding behind loud, dying industries. And learning to see it before the crowd does is the whole game. This video is sponsored by Moats. That trophy mall, an irreplaceable location compounding cash behind a moat, is exactly what Moats hunts for. Actually finding those companies, that's the hard part. That's exactly what Moats is built for. It rates thousands of stocks on the two things that matter most: how strong the moat is and what you'd pay. Quality times valuation on one simple scorecard, so you can spot the widening moats that are actually trading at a fair price. Check out Moats at the link below and go find your next compounder.